Slope. Happy Thursday. I'm Dalen Brazelton. Let's talk about your weather. Folks, it's going to be another very warm day today all across western Colorado as we're seeing unseasonably warm temperatures around for the 12th day in a row. We're still waiting on that sun to rise on America's Mattress Live Tower Cam, but once it does, we're seeing a very sunny sky for a majority of the day. A little bit of cloud coverage, but nothing too terribly weird. Just some dry conditions as we head into the tail end of this week. Even those high wind conditions that we saw across the Front Range, that's starting to move towards the east, and then we're just left with some very warm conditions in the meantime. We're waking up to 37 degrees right now in Grand Junction, mid-30s for Delta, Paonia, Nuclear, and Glade Park. A little bit cooler than that, as well as Montrose, seeing just around that freezing threshold, but Grand Junction definitely standing out at 37 degrees right now. For that classroom forecast, that first bell's ringing at 28 degrees, mostly clear conditions. We're going to be seeing those mostly clear conditions all day long. You can see that with the after-school activities as well at 49 degrees, a little bit cooler than we saw a few days ago, and that's going to be roughly the peak of the day, 49 degrees around 3 p.m. But we're starting to see 40s around 10 o'clock, and then that just slowly inches its way up into the upper 40s over the course of the afternoon itself, getting out of that freezing threshold around 9 a.m. And until then, the morning hours, well, very much so what we have been seeing, those upper 20s hanging out for the morning itself. But just a little bit of cloud coverage all day long, nothing too terribly strange. For that Cozy Cat forecast, we got Spotty and Baby hanging out with us this week, and it's going to be a lovely morning to hang out with your cat a little bit extra, because after tonight, we're kind of done with these below freezing temperatures overnight. So enjoy these 27-degree temperatures while you can, folks, because they're kind of going away for a little bit. Mostly clear conditions in the meantime. A little bit of an uptick in those wind speeds for the later morning hours. Typically around that 9 o'clock hour, we're starting to see it die down. It's holding strong at 7 miles an hour, and then around 11 o'clock, that's where we'll start to see those breezes really start to dissipate. Now, those winds, while we're seeing a slight uptick in the region, in general are moving out of the area. So if you remember those high wind warnings that we've been seeing all week long across Colorado, now they're pushing into the Great Plains, where the most significant chances of wind speeds are now sitting over the Dakotas instead of that Wyoming, Montana, Colorado range. As a result, these high wind warnings, are set to expire at 11 o'clock today, and we're not really expected to see them reissued. Now, the fire weather warnings on the other end, well, we'll see how that kind of goes. But the good news at the very least is that because these high wind warnings are dying down, we're not really expected to see any red flag warnings issued, which is a good sign for fire weather this time of year, but still definitely seeing some interesting weather happening in eastern Colorado as a result. Meanwhile, over on the western slope, even though we're seeing a slight uptick in breezes, we're kind of hanging out in the single digits for most of the region. Some notable exceptions: Glenwood, Carbondale, seeing a slight uptick in those early morning hours, but as we head into the afternoon, most areas are staying in the single digits. You got Battlement Mesa being really the only key exception here as we head into the evening time as well. A lot of moisture potential kind of building for the region, but don't get your hopes up yet, because even though this atmospheric river usually means a lot of moisture, as it approaches, you got a high pressure ridge that's kind of keeping things away from the region. So while areas in Utah, Wyoming might be seeing it, not really expected to see that happen in Colorado. As we take a look ahead to that Discovery Auto Group 7-day forecast, we're seeing those upper 40s, and it's the only time we're seeing temperatures peak in the 40s for a while. And as a matter of fact, next week, when we start Christmas week, we're heading into the 60s, folks. Winter officially kicking off on Sunday, and wow, let's take a look at this, folks. After tonight, we are done with below freezing overnight lows. Montrose seeing 37 degrees tomorrow night, and in the meantime, enjoy those mid-40s because they're leaving fast.